Hello grade 12. This video is going to be about graphs of motion. Okay, vertical projectile motion. There's a lot of learners struggling to interpret the graphs. So we're going to make first one video about how to get the idea of the velocity versus times graph. Okay, so we have a motion of the projectile could either be up or down. Okay, so could either be up or down. Let's think when the projectile is moving up. What do we have to know about the projectile when it's moving down, up? First of all, the velocity is going to decrease. Velocity is going to decrease. So it's always going to decrease. It's going from a bigger number to a smaller number. Okay? Second, the velocity. At the maximum height is going to be 0 meters per second. So when the object reaches the maximum height, the velocity is 0 meters per second. And the third, the acceleration is constant. So the graph is going to be straight line. Right. So these 3 points we need to have them in mind when we're going to look at graph of velocity versus time. First of all, the velocity is going to decrease. Always is going to decrease. Velocity at the maximum height is always 0 and the acceleration is constant, and therefore the graph will be in a straight line. Okay, so let's take two considerations. One of them, taking up as positive, and the other one taking down as positive. So what will the difference be? The object is being thrown up, is moving up. All right. So if up is positive, so you start from a positive number. You start from a positive number. If you're taking down as positive, the object is moving up, so you start from a negative number. Saying that, let's draw the axis and see how will the shape look like. Okay, just a minute for me to draw the axis. Okay, here are the axes. In the first one is velocity versus time, as well as in the second one. Now, what we say, remember, object is moving up, but up is taken as positive. So in this graph here, in the first one, which up is positive, you're starting from a positive number. It's a straight line down, so it's going to be down up until there. Here is a 0, therefore this is object moving up, and up is positive. So this indicates an object that is moving up, and up is positive. Here, just arrive to the x-axis, which is equal to 0. Therefore, at that specific point, there, the object is at the maximum height. The object there is at the maximum height. So this is the first graph. Object moving up is positive. You're starting from a positive number, you're going down to the x-axis, and that represents the maximum height. If on the other hand, we say now down is positive, then you're starting from a negative number, and it's going all the way to the x-axis. Remember, this is a negative number. However, have in mind that the negative in physics means direction. So this negative number, it doesn't mean that it's a smaller number, but it is in the opposite direction as the one taken as positive. Down is positive and this object is moving up. That is why the velocity will be negative. And here is 0 at the x-axis. So here, this is an object moving up, but down is positive. So that is the difference. Here, at this point, the object is at the maximum height. The object there, the projectile there will be at the maximum height. Okay? So this is the first scenario. Object moving up. Object moving up positive or down positive. Okay? So let's go to the second scenario when the object is moving down. So let's say now object or projectile is moving down. Okay? Object is moving down. So what we need to know, first of all, what will happen to the velocity is going to increase. Velocity, velocity is going to increase. It means it will go from a smaller number to a bigger number. Okay? If object, remember when I say object, I refer to projectile. It's not any object, it's just a projectile. If object is being released or dropped, then the initial velocity is equal to 0. That is important. This is when the object is being dropped, it's being released. The initial velocity is 0. It's not always need to be 0. If the object is being thrown, then the initial velocity is different than 0. It will be a number and it will still increase. Okay? And the acceleration, the same as when it's moving up, is constant. Acceleration is constant. The 4 straight lines still. Okay? So now we're going to see an object moving down, right? Velocity is going to increase. If object is being released, the initial velocity is 0 and the acceleration is constant. We are going to use, for our example, we're going to use an object that is being released, but is not always need to be released. So let me draw the axis and I'll be back with you when they draw. All right, here we are. So the same as before, we're going to have two scenarios, up positive or down positive. Now, in both cases, in this scenario, the object is going to be dropped. So the initial velocity is 0. Remember, not always it's going to be dropped. Okay, now in this scenario, it's going to be dropped. So both cases, we're going to start from 0. Okay, we're going to start from 0. If up is positive, the object is moving down. Remember, up is positive and the object is moving down. It's being dropped. So that means that the final velocity must be negative. The final velocity here must be negative. So the object will start from 0 because it's been dropped to a negative velocity. Why negative velocity? Because it is moving up, and we say, sorry, it's moving down, the object has been dropped, and up is positive. So this is an object moving down, but up is positive. That is why the final velocity is negative, because it is moving down and up is positive. Right? Now, important here, what represents this point there? That is the velocity of the object when it reaches the ground. So this is the velocity of the object, velocity of object when reaching the ground. the ground. Alright, so that will be the velocity of the object when it reaches the ground. This one here is the initial velocity of the object. Now, let's say, for instance, just an example, that the object is not being dropped, but it's been thrown. So the only difference is that the starting point here, I was going to get another color. Let's get just perhaps blue. We'll stay with blue. The starting point here is not going to be 0 because now it's not been dropped, it's been thrown, but everything will still be the same. Okay, so now same object, but in this case the object is being we take it now down as positive. The object is moving down, so you're starting from 0, but the final velocity of the object, the velocity at which the object reaches the ground, is going to be positive. Okay, this is going to be positive. This is an object moving down, and down is positive. Down is positive in this situation. That is why the final velocity is down. These points here, again, this point here, this point there represent the velocity of the object when reaching the ground. That velocity there is the velocity, sorry for taking the colors, this is the velocity when reaching the ground. So that is important to know. If the object, instead of being dropped, is being thrown, then you're starting from a different number and you move all the way up. Alright, so for instance, this graph here represents two objects, one of them being dropped and one of them being thrown. Okay, so now we know the two scenarios when object is moving up and when the object is moving down. Now let's take a scenario where the object is moving up and down at the same time. So in this case, the object is going to move up and down. Object moving up and down. All right, we are going to take the same situation here. The object is being thrown up and then eventually will fall back down. So let me do the two axes and then I'll be back with you just now. All right, here we have the two axes, the two set of the coordinates. We have up positive on the left hand side and on the right hand side down positive. Okay, so this object is going to be moving up and down. Somebody throw the object up, and obvious when it reaches the maximum height, the object will go down again. Okay, so let's use all we learn here. If it's moving up, it's going to start from a number up until it reaches the maximum height. So this is going from a number here. Up is positive, it is moving up, so the initial velocity is up, and then that object is moving all the way to the maximum height. That is the maximum height. Or let's say not the maximum height, that is the velocity of the object at the maximum height. What does the object do there? It turns around, moving down. But because we said up is positive, see here, down is from there. So down will be from there all the way down straight. Remember, is a constant line, it's a straight line because acceleration is constant. So this is an object moving up. This is the same object moving down, and up is positive here. If down is positive, the object is starting to move up, so we're starting from a negative number. All right, and it's going all the way up, moving up until it reaches velocity 0 here, up until the velocity is 0 here. There is 0, that is the maximum height. That is the velocity of the object at the maximum height. What does the object do here? Change direction and it's going down, but down is going to be positive now. That is why it's going to go to a positive answer. final is positive. So this is when an object is moving up and down. Up is positive, down is positive. You have the different scenarios. Okay, now what if the object bounces? What is the object bounces? Well, when the object bounces, it's going to be here. In this case, remember, this is the velocity at the ground. Look here. We already took those notes. That is the velocity of the object when it reaches the ground. So what if the object bounces? Well, it changes direction. It's going all the way to the positive side, or in this case, all the way to the negative side, and then the graph will start over in the same way as before. From there, we'll go to the maximum height. From there, we'll go to the maximum height. All right. So I hope this graph helped. Please write a comment if you have any. If you don't understand something, you can ask me. I'll do my best to fix whatever you don't understand. Good luck. I hope it really helped. I know it might be tricky. Okay. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.